So hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, that is Learning Biophysics with Team 320, and today is week 5 and my topic is cell membrane. In this video we will talk about the cell membrane. The cell membrane is also called the plasma membrane or a plasma lemma. It makes the outer protective wall of the cell, and it maintains the shape and the size of the cell. And obviously, any exchange between the inside and the outside of the cell happens through the cell membrane only. And now let's talk about its structure in detail. So when we see its structure, it's very thin and pliable. Like its thickness is about only 10 nanometers. And the main constituent of the cell membranes are lipids, proteins, and carbohydrates. So lipids make up of about 40%, proteins about 55%, and the carbohydrates about 5% of the membrane. So now let's talk about each of these components one by one. First is lipids. That lipids are arranged in two layers like a sandwich, and thus they make a lipid bilayer, and it mainly has two types of lipids, phospholipids and cholesterol. So along with them, there are other types of lipids as well. Phospholipids are by far the most abundant among them. So if we zoom out phospholipids, we will see phospholipid molecule and phosphate head, that is hydrophilic, and it's with water, and lipid tail, that is hydrophobic, that is means likes to stay away from the water. So when we see phospholipid molecules arrange themselves in this type of bilayer form with phosphate on the surface in contact with water, and lipid groups are inside the water, away from the water. So this is called the hydrophobic interaction. An interesting thing about this is that in this arrangement, the phospholipid molecules do not make any strong bonds with each other. These molecules are actually freely moving along the plane of the layer. Thus, the membrane is actually in a liquid state, not the solid one. Okay, so this is called the fluid mosaic model of the membrane. And now let's continue with the next lipid, cholesterol. In cholesterol, molecules are dissolved in the lipid bilayer. It controls the fluidity of the membrane. At a modest concentration, it decreases the fluidity, or in simple words, it makes the membrane more rigid. And at high concentration, it increases the fluidity of the membrane. And so these are the lipids. Talking about the permeability of the lipid bilayer, it's semi-permeable. So as it's made up of lipids, other lipids and lipid soluble substance can dissolve in and thus pass through it. Water and water soluble substance as well as large molecule cannot pass through it. The lipid bilayer makes the backbone of the membrane, to which the proteins and the carbohydrates are attached. And we see next is protein components of the cell membrane. Proteins are mostly form of glycoproteins. Broadly, they are categorized into two types, that is integral membrane protein and peripheral membrane protein. Integral membrane protein are tightly integrated with the lipid bilayer, and the peripheral membrane protein loosely attached to the lipids or integral membrane proteins. The membrane proteins serve as a transport proteins to allow passage of water and water soluble substances, receptors to receive signals. As second messenger in intracellular signaling as enzymes. As enzymes, as addition molecule, and also as to attach the cell to extracellular substance matrix, form a submembrane cytoskeleton, the strength and resilience of the membrane, and finally they may be expressed as antigens also. And so these are our proteins. Now let's see the last component of the cell membrane, carbohydrates. So most of the carbohydrates on the cell membrane are in combination with proteins and lipids both, in the form of glycoproteins and glycolipids. The carbohydrates portion in this molecule is usually dangling on the outer side of the cell. Along with these are the other carbohydrates attached loosely to other outer surface of the cell. All these carbohydrates cover almost the entire surface of the cell, and this carbohydrate coating of the cell is called glycocalyx. Function of the carbohydrates are as follows. Most carbohydrates have a negative charge and makes the outer surface of the cell electronegative, which repels the other negative charged objects. So second neighbor cells may get attached to the other one another through the glycocalyx. They may serve receptor functions, and finally they may be involved in immune reactions. So this is all about the cell membrane. Let's repeat. Quick summary. Cell membrane makes the outer wall of the cell. That is, the central lipid bilayer is made up of mainly phospholipids and cholesterol. It's fluidic in nature and permeable to only lipid and lipid soluble substances. Attached to the lipid bilayer are proteins that serve as transport proteins, receptors, and secondary messengers, enzymes, addition molecules, submembrane cytoskeletons, and also as an antigen. And we also have carbohydrates making the outer coat called glycocalyx. The carbohydrates give the cell surface a negative charge, help one cell to attach another, serve as receptor, and participate in immune function. That's it for